American taxpayers, I need you to pay for this car. It's going to go all the way over there for hundreds and hundreds of miles. It's not really going to go for hundreds and hundreds of miles. It will only go a couple of miles. Imagine if instead of talking about a car, I was talking about a war, but I still wanted you to fund it. Would that be more important or less important? It's more important, isn't it? Don't lie about wars. Hello there, you 6.4 million awakening wonders. Thanks for joining us on this voyage to truth and freedom. And this is where you're going to get it. Because why? Because we get it from you. We gather our collective intelligence. We ensure that we use reliable sources. We report to you what we believe. Then we listen to what you think. Unlike the mainstream media, who cudgel you over the brow with lies and deceit that they came up with in conjunction with the government and expect us to thank them for the stuff while they steal your data, package it and sell it, all the while backing great big corporations that make products that are literally, in some cases, killing you. And I don't just mean big pharma, I mean big food too. And the law case has already been established. You can check our receipts if you need to. One thing they will not tell you is this: that war that you're funding between Ukraine and Russia and participating in is privately believed to be ultimately unwinnable. So why are top brass from the military lying under oath that there is a plan, that it can be won? Is that not perjury and lying? And why can't the Pentagon pass any audits? What exactly is going on over there? Why are we not focusing on the fact that you're being asked to pay for a war that even the people that advocate for it publicly do not believe can be won? Hopefully, though, one of the political parties and its representatives will give you an oppositional view. Let's start with Kevin McCarthy, Republican Speaker of the House. See what he's got to say.
Yes, sir.
Вячеслав Тартаковский, РИА Новости, Russia. We know that you don't support the current unlimited and uncontrolled supplies of weaponry and aid to Ukraine.
Okay, I'm not sure. The sound here is not good. Did he say I don't support aid to Ukraine? No, I vote for aid for Ukraine. I support aid for Ukraine. I do not support what your country has done to Ukraine. I do not support your killing of the children either. And I don't think it's right. And we will continue to support because the rest of the world sees it just as it is.
Well, killing children is bad. Presumably that means all children. Let's see if we can get another perspective on financially supporting through your tax dollars via the military-industrial complex the war from Karine Jean-Pierre on behalf of the Democrats.
Look, we're glad to hear that Speaker McCarthy agrees it is vital to keep supporting Ukraine.
I would say it's the military-industrial complex that they're ultimately supporting. There are a lot of variables, but who will definitely benefit, continue to benefit, because they're benefiting already, is the military-industrial complex. Let me know what you think in the chat in the comments.
The widespread bipartisan support that we've seen in Congress for Ukraine has been critical to those efforts, and we agree that it is important for that support to continue, and we're glad to hear that coming from Speaker McCarthy for sure.
When it comes to war, it's great that both parties completely agree with one another. You don't want dissent, interrogation, inquiry, clarification, a Pentagon that can pass audits, weapons that can be tracked all the way to their destination. All those things are, I don't know, boring. Here's Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin under oath. Oh, God, I nearly forgot to mention it. He used to work for Raytheon, who make weapons. That's probably not relevant, though.
Ukrainians have inflicted significant casualties on the Russians, and they have depleted their inventory of armored vehicles in a way that no one would have ever imagined. And so now we see Russia reaching for T-54s and T-55 tanks because of the level of damage that the Ukrainians have inflicted on them. Based upon the things that we've done and continue to do, I think Ukraine will have a real good chance.
Great. There they are, publicly declaring that Ukraine has a real good chance. Well, let's hope that there isn't another perspective that's being concealed from the public, because remember, all these billions of dollars of aid, 50% of which goes to the military-industrial complex, is coming from you. So I guess you have a right to know, or do you not have a right to know the truth? Can you not handle it? Is it a bit too much? Let me know in the chat, in the comments, how much truth you can handle. Get ready for some truth right now. It's time for the Biden administration to level with the American people about the Ukraine war. For more than a year, the White House has painted for the public a rosy picture of battlefield and strategic success. Ukraine will never be a victory for Russia, President Biden proclaimed during his visit to Kiev in February. We believe that we can win. They, the Ukrainians, can win if they have the right equipment, the right support, said Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin. Changing it from we to they, because of course, as you know, and remind me in the comments, it's not a proxy war. Oh no, you didn't. Secretary of State Tony Blinken has repeatedly insisted that the war will be a strategic epic defeat for Russia that will leave it weakened and incapable of future aggression. Even the administration's most sober-minded observer of the war, Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman Mark Milley, has asserted that Ukraine has the leadership and morale to beat Russia. Driven by these optimistic pronouncements, Biden officials have insisted that justice must prevail in the war. They say that Putin and other Russian officials must be tried for war crimes. But don't talk to the ICC, the International Criminal Court, about that, because you might find that that literally means that America is similarly guilty for war crimes. So even the war crimes that Russia are guilty of, and by the way, they are, cannot be reported through ICC channels because it would demonstrate a precedent by which the Americans would similarly be convicted. The corruption. They insist, as the victim of unprovoked Russian aggression, Ukraine alone has the right to determine whether to seek a settlement or concede territory. The bottom line from the White House has been that American resolve will not waver and that the war will result in a uniformly happy ending for the United States and its allies. Don't be childish. A democratic, independent, sovereign and prosperous Ukraine, a chastened and defanged Russia, and a peaceful and stable Europe, and all can and will be achieved without committing US troops to fight against Russia and risking what Biden has called World War III. Quite a lot of mad things in there, really. Democratic, independent. Ooh, look at what BlackRock and Vanguard will be doing after. Let's check and see if any other major global corporations in the field of energy, for example, will be profiting from events subsequent to a conclusion to this conflict. And are there already US troops in there? And what are the revelations of Buddy Boy Jack Texera? Let's get into all of that. The purported Pentagon leaks of classified documents, officially unconfirmed but covered widely in Western media, raise profound questions about this narrative. If these press reports are accurate, they suggest that the United States is tiptoeing much closer to a direct war with Russia than the Biden team has acknowledged. They also allege that as of March, there were a small number of undisclosed American Special Forces personnel on the ground in Ukraine, raising the question of what Washington would do should Russians intentionally or unintentionally strike them. Moreover, the reports paint a much bleaker picture of Kiev's prospects in the war than the White House has acknowledged. Now, we may not have sponsors like ExxonMobil or JP Morgan, but we do have partners so that we can continue to bring you this great content that values your interest, and I'm going to try my damnedest to make it funny. Here I go, look. Is it me? Or does the future feel more insecure and uncertain? Wars, pandemics, lies, trickery. My cats keep having kittens. The last one's personal. For those who are in the United States, there is a way to secure your hard-earned nest egg. American Hartford Gold make it easy to protect your savings and retirement accounts with physical gold and silver. With one phone call, they can have physical gold and silver delivered right to your door, or inside a qualifying retirement account like your IRA or 401k. American Hartford Gold is the highest rated firm in the US with an A+ rating from the BBB and thousands of satisfied clients. Right now, they will give you up to $5,000 of free silver on your first qualifying order. This offer is only for US customers. Call 866-505-8315. That's 866-505-8315, or simply text BRAND to 998899. Get up to $5,000 of silver and protect your future in this crazy, crazy world with some solid precious metals literally made in stars. Ukraine's challenges in massing troops, ammunition and equipment could cause its military to fall well short of Kiev's original goals for an anticipated counteroffensive aimed at retaking Russian-occupied areas this spring. The bleak assessment from early February warns of significant force generation and sustainment shortfalls, and the likelihood that such an operation will result in only modest territorial gains. It's a marked departure from the Biden administration's public statements about the vitality of Ukraine's military, and is likely to embolden critics who feel the United States and NATO should do more to push for a negotiated settlement to the conflict. Under what circumstances would a negotiated settlement be worse? In the end, that is what you will get. And it's difficult not to imagine at this point that part of the motivation for prolonging this conflict is that it's profitable. We all know what power is imposed upon Washington through lobbying, through donations, the fact that both parties parrot the same line when it comes to this issue, that even Lloyd Austin, the defense secretary, used to work for Raytheon. I mean, you can't just keep explaining away all of this stuff along with the Pentagon Papers leaks, can you? You can't just keep blindly believing believe in. I mean, people that would say, don't believe in God because there's not enough evidence, believe in stuff like this. The West has sent Ukraine tens of billions of dollars worth of weapons and military equipment, touting the injection of aid as a significant boost. But the newly leaked document signals what many commanders and troops already know. The difficult fight against Russia has exhausted Ukraine's troops, and hardware making every day the war drags on an advantage to the larger Russian military. Many of the assessments date to February and March, which would mean that Lloyd Austin was potentially lying under oath there in Congress. But I'm sure there's no dishonesty or deceit coming out of that institution. After all, you can't work for Raytheon, a top-notch military-industrial complex organisation, then be a defence secretary and pick up any bad habits around treachery, deceit or perjury in either of those institutions. Should Russia's war of attrition threaten to force Ukraine to its knees, what would Biden do? The White House has done almost nothing to prepare the American public for a compromise settlement. But in a way, American history has, because look at Vietnam, look at Afghanistan. In the end, my sense is that they'll just sort of manage the information and fudge it and push it away. And there's a little war going on in the Pacific you might want to be aware of. Semiconductors, Taiwan. Want to have a war with China? Forget about all that crap with the Russians. Let's just move on, get on to a new war. Let alone some form of Russian battlefield success. Having failed to lay the groundwork at home and abroad for negotiations, Biden could well face an uncomfortable choice between watching Ukraine crumble despite his promise to prevent it and escalating US or NATO involvement in ways that might produce the very military confrontation with Moscow that he has forsworn. The American people have no right to see sensitive intelligence information, disclosure of which can certainly jeopardize US national security in multiple ways, but they can and should expect that their government's public statements do not conflict with what US officials know privately from objective intelligence analysis. That's surely the minimum we can expect, that they don't lie to us in public. Is that what you expect? Is that what's happening? Let me know in the chat and comments. Just as it did in Vietnam and Iraq. Oh yeah, I forgot Iraq. That was another bad one, wasn't it? The truth about the war will eventually come out. Too late then, though. If those painful episodes serve as a guide, and why wouldn't they, it is unlikely that voters will welcome the news that they've been deceived once again in Ukraine. But it's also unlikely that we'll do anything about it, because we just keep tolerating this stuff for some reason. Why is that? Maybe they're right. Maybe we can't handle the truth. Maybe we don't want to be told the blunt facts of geopolitics, of colonial wars, of setting up resource wars, of finding reasons to go to war with increasingly powerful opponents. I mean, John Kirby here seems to think that you should be treated like dumb little kids.
Again, without confirming the validity of the documents, this is information that has no business in the public domain.
You are the public. How can you watch someone go, no business in the public domain, knowing that that's sort of you? I mean, of course there are things that are private, of course there are things that are sensitive, but there are also things that reveal that the stated agenda of the powerful is at odds with what they're telling you and is deleterious to your own interests. And I believe that that might be the case here, because it's expensive and costly, and a negotiated peace is always desirable and favourable, and the only way that you can countenance that is by saying that Russia are a criminal and Putin is crazy, and I'm willing to accept all of those things, but nevertheless, I believe that a negotiated settlement is better than this thing where we kept blinkered, blinded, blithely lied to by people that I don't trust. Do you trust them?
It has no business, if you don't mind me saying, on the pages of front pages of newspapers or on television. It is not intended for public consumption.
But we are the public, you apple-cheeked ventriloquist doll.
And it should not be out there.
Don't worry about that, mate. The mainstream media won't mention it anyway. After all, you guys are allies in continually deceiving us. Here's some more things that are none of your business that you shouldn't be thinking about. It's not as if it's actually your money. This year alone, the average American taxpayer paid $1,087 just for Pentagon contractors alone, a sum representing 21 days of work for the average person. That's 21 days you were working for the military-industrial complex. What do? I'm a painter and decorator. I'm a truck driver. I work in a cake shop. No, you work for the military-industrial complex. For 1 month every year, you go to work for Raytheon, for Lockheed Martin, for Boeing. That's what you do. Remember when you voted for it? You voted for that, didn't you? You said every year, if it's okay, could I just do 1 month's work? Not for Doctors Without Borders, or for some homeless shelter facility, or for something that brings about greater racial harmony. I would love it if 21 days of my working life could go directly directly to the military-industrial complex. Well, you hardly need to vote for a thing like that. We're doing it anyway. As the war in Ukraine drags on, the government is selling off state assets in a big privatization spree. What, sort of like Iraq? Yeah, same as that. US fossil fuel corporations like ExxonMobil, Chevron, and Halliburton are participating in discussions to take over the Eastern European nation's oil and gas industry as Kiev pushes to increase production to replace Russian energy exports. So if you are one of those people that thinks it's disloyal to sort of even criticize, critique, analyze, or try to understand this war, you're just on the same side as ExxonMobil and Chevron and Halliburton and all those people that when it comes to another issue, maybe climate change or something, they would be baddies, or tax evasion or subsidies, they would be the bad. But in this one, you're their pal. You're on their side. Don't talk about it. Don't ask any questions. That's not patriotic. This comes soon after Ukraine's Western-backed leader Volodymyr Zelensky sent a friendly video message to a US corporate lobby thanking companies like BlackRock, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs and Starlink and promising big business for others. Yeah, man, we're radicals. We're on the side of ExxonMobil and JP Morgan. Get a flag in the window, but make sure that flag has all the appropriate logos on it next time. The Ukrainian government has used the war as an excuse to ram through some of the most aggressive anti-worker laws on earth. Oh, that's not convenient. The director of the Kiev-based workers' rights NGO labour initiatives warned of a full-scale attack on Ukraine's labour rights. Just in time for when BlackRock, Vanguard and all of the construction companies and corporations come in to rebuild it. It's nice to know, heartening to be sure, that the Ukrainian workers won't be able to form unions to be paid properly to rebuild a country decimated by a war that could potentially have not happened at all and could have been stopped a lot earlier were it not for the ongoing tune of the Green Symphony of sweet dollar bill corruption. So there you have it. Can you handle the truth? Should you know what the true agenda is? Is it time for a real reckoning around this issue? Would you like to have access to the truth and be spoken to like an adult and maybe even, I don't know, vote on the outcomes? Or would you like to donate 1 month a year of your working life forever to the military-industrial complex who both parties conveniently seem to support? I think maybe there's a better way. But that's just what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments and chat. Turn on the notification bell and subscribe right now. If you enjoyed this video, have a look at either of these. They're fantastic videos. Stay with us. But more important than any of that is that you please stay free.